Our next speaker has over 25 years professional experience, spanning land surveying, spatial planning, and property management. As Group Property Planning Manager in the Engineering and Major Projects Business Unit at ESB, our next speaker is responsible for delivering complex planning, policy, GIS, and development projects to advance the organisation's ambitious net zero by 2040 strategy. Please welcome to the stage Colm Cummins.
Good morning, everybody. After Sean's presentation, I'm reminded of a friend of mine who cleans drains, and he was bragging about how much money he makes. And he didn't put it as politely as this, but he said, "Your waste is my bread and butter." So don't take away his job, Sean. But today I'm here because I want to share a short practical story about how ESB is accelerating the delivery of critical infrastructure, and why increasingly that depends on location intelligence as we work towards net zero by 2040. Because across investment planning, project delivery and operations, there's a growing common dependency. Delivery now relies on understanding land assets, constraints, planning context and access accurately and at pace. And GIS underpins that shared need by providing a consistent spatial view of reality that our teams can act on. And what I want to take you through today is how we've applied that capability in practice, some of the benefits that we're already seeing, and how it'll work to support the delivery of our strategy, which is driven to make a difference net zero by 2040. That strategy has been developed over many years, and it sets out that clear pathway to achieve net zero. And it's underpinned by three core strategic objectives: to decarbonise the electricity system, to build out resilient infrastructure, and to empower customers and communities so that they can transition to net zero. That will involve, I suppose, building out major networks investment, introducing renewables, and providing the customers with the solutions that will support them. And the three core strategic objectives are underpinned by a number of foundational capabilities. And one of them is digital and data-driven. And I suppose that's the one I want to focus in on today, because that's what we see as an enabler. As delivery accelerates, projects get more complex, and more of our decisions are location-based. And that ambitious strategy will be delivered by our existing business units. So our regulated networks business will be very much focused on connecting renewables and delivering on that major infrastructure. Our generation and trading business will have the task of decarbonising generation and providing energy security. And then, as I mentioned, our customer solutions business will assist our customers and the communities to move towards net zero. And I suppose just to understand the scale of the ambition involved as we move through 2030 and then onwards to 2040. And the key takeaway here is not any single figure. It's that step change in scale and pace. And the scale introduces a new delivery environment where there's more projects running in parallel on tighter time constraints and with greater planning and regulatory scrutiny. And I suppose it's in this environment that trusted spatial data moves from being a support function to a key enabler for delivery. And I suppose ESB, given our historical context, we have a very significant and broad range of spatial data. And that's across our very dense urban networks, extensive rural networks, and a lot of complex operational areas in between. And that's a very solid foundation from which to build. That data can be used and trusted going forward. But as we realise, as GIS users, the real value comes when that data is trusted, it's well governed, and easily accessible, I suppose, across our teams, so it can be accessed to support the delivery and that ambitious delivery that's required. And I suppose that trusted data set leads me on to a challenge that was faced by our group property team. And group property are responsible for managing that very large and extensive property portfolio on behalf of ESB. And as delivery is increasing, we're continually and probably more increasingly asked some very basic questions that we need to answer quickly and with confidence. What land do we own? Where are the boundaries? And what constraints apply? And that has, I suppose, been difficult for us because over time, due to the fact that we've moved from paper-based records, which were alluded to in the discussion earlier on, from many years ago into that digital environment, we now have, we ended up with, I suppose, several data sets in relation to land and property information. And we realized where that introduced uncertainty into projects. So as we're moving into this space where we're ramping up delivery, we can't carry forward that uncertainty because to deliver at pace, we're going to need that trusted land and property information so that projects can develop on a solid foundation very quickly. So in terms of a solution, realizing that we needed that baseline of property information, we obviously moved towards a cloud-based solution using ArcGIS Online. And that allowed us to build out the data by, I suppose, the platform itself was beneficial, but where the real value came for us was taking that time out to really focus in on the fundamentals, which were cleansing the data, rationalizing it, and enhancing it so that we now had this trusted layer that could be carried forward to serve our project teams. And once that solid layer was built, we were able to enhance it with all of that existing asset information that we have, and then layer it up with additional data sets such as environmental constraints or planning context. And beyond that then, it allowed us to broaden out the reach across the wider part of the business, away from it just being a specialist function among our specialist GIS users, who I'm happy to say most of whom are in the room today that interact with that data. But by using web apps, we're obviously able to push it out into a wider user group so that people can interact with it and become confident in using the data to support the delivery of the projects that are underway. And just a couple of brief examples of how it's already been used in practice, that trusted property boundary layer. We were able to provide our planning team with a web app so that they could analyze ESB property boundary information against the residential zoning land tax property layer. Again, given the extent of ESB's property ownership, we found ourselves in, well, conflict might be the wrong word, but we found ourselves in conflict with the RZLT layer, and obviously to mitigate risk, we needed to remove ESB properties from the layer so that we would fall outside the scope of the tax, because those properties would be used for critical infrastructure. But by providing the web app for the planning team, we allowed them to focus on what they really needed, because this is a very time-constrained process, tied into very tight statutory timelines. So the planning team needed to focus on writing the submissions, detailed submissions to the local authorities in order to get the properties removed. But by giving them this data quickly, and they could trust it, allowed them to get on with the job and get the best result for the company. Another early use example that we're seeing is in relation to the management of our hydroelectric lands. So these are quite extensive floodlands associated with these schemes. And we have a team of surveyors in our estates management team who are responsible for managing these lands. They will carry out inspections, carry out surveys, interact with local landowners in terms of licensing for agricultural uses. And again, through the use of the web app, based on the foundation of the property boundary layer, they're able to plan their work in a smarter way. Because of the geographic extent of the area they're covering, initially they're using it to plan their work in a smarter manner. But in this area, we see huge potential to grow into the area of field maps, where they will collect data in the field and feed it into a live system. And we certainly will see much more work in this area in the near future. But the big area, I suppose, where we've seen the biggest outcomes is supporting the infrastructure delivery. Having that trusted data set of property boundary information tied in with the rest of the asset information that we own, in conjunction with all of the other external data sets that we would use, allows the teams responsible for delivering those significant networks projects or generation projects, or whether it be a customer solutions project, something like rolling out electric charging points. We can use this information and extend the use out through the business, through web apps, to support the analysis that's needed to get these projects done quickly and on time to meet the huge ambition that's set out in our strategy. And I suppose what we'll continue to do now that we feel we have built this, we're beginning to build, I suppose, this solid platform, is to build on that and continue to evolve our GIS capability, because we've got confidence from what we've done to date. I suppose taking time out as a first step to build that solid authoritative data set in relation to property boundary, putting that foundation in place. Moving to the next phase of enabling the scaling up of GIS across the business with user-focused web apps, which is really important to meet that ambitious project delivery, and ultimately allowing those smartest decisions to take place, which hopefully, and as we continue to evolve and grow our capability, will get us where we will make a significant contribution to the delivery of our strategy, which is driven to make a difference, net zero by 2040. Thank you very much.